Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the York County Community Sector Briefing. I'm Lisa Hurley with the York County Development Corporation. Just a few reminders. Go ahead and keep yourself on mute until you're ready to report. If you have questions, feel free to type them into the chat box and we will answer them as available. We do have someone monitoring the Facebook Live as well, so same thing. Type in the comments and Rhonda will let us know. So I know Laura is on. I'd like to introduce Laura McDougall with Four Corners Health Department and let her start with our weekly update.
Good Thursday morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and start with this public health update. Nothing really for Four Corners has changed since last night. So we are now up to 103 cases in our district, and we have, let's see, we have a new total for York County that we're up to 30 in York County with 21 recovered individuals. So right now in our district, Butler County is the county where we're seeing the most activity. They're up to 37 cases and 16 recovered individuals. Seward County's up to 27 with 15 recovered. And Polk County has remained the same for a couple weeks now and just at 9, and everyone is recovered. So that's good news. In Nebraska, we have over 11,000 cases and 138 deaths. Looking around us, we know that Douglas County is is probably the numbers we're seeing climb the most rapidly at this point. But we're still seeing quite a bit of activity in some of those other counties around us like Colfax, Platte, Lancaster, Saline. Hall County's looking better, but they're still having some cases as well. So we're just kind of holding steady here. We did have a National Guard testing event in David City on Tuesday. We don't have any of the results back yet from that testing event. They might start coming in today, we're hoping. We did test 233 people during that event. So that's our largest testing event up until this point. And we know that there were quite a few people though from out of our district that were tested at that event. So stay tuned. We'll try to get more information on what our positivity rate was and things for that event once we start getting results. I think some of the big news that we have a couple of things coming up here that are kind of big news for us. Test Nebraska is going to start rotating their testing sites into our district. And we're not anticipating that the National Guard will be doing their testing events like they have in the past with us. In fact, some of their personnel are getting rotated into the Test Nebraska teams. So Test Nebraska is going to be coming to York on Tuesday. So in order for someone to be able to get like a ticket to have a free test, you have to go to the Test Nebraska website. That's www.testnebraska.com. And you can take an assessment on the website. And if you, especially if you think you're having any symptoms or you've been exposed to somebody who has COVID-19 or you work in a high-risk profession, you might want to go on there, do an assessment. We would encourage you to, and see if you qualify for a test. And but they'll be testing in York on May 26th, and then in Seward on May 27th. So that's also pretty close to here. So they'll be testing, and you can get a spot to be tested with Test Nebraska if you do that assessment and they find that you have you're hitting those criteria that they have, they will give you a test. So then I think the other thing I wanted to just talk about a little bit is The new directed health measures are being worked on right now. I would encourage everyone to listen to the governor speak at his press conferences at 2 daily, 2 p.m. He's on, you can tune in on the NET Nebraska, and I think even some of the news stations have his press conference, but he's going to start talking about what those look like. And so between today and tomorrow, I think he's going to be rolling some things out. So I would encourage everyone to listen. Our plan to get that information out to everybody is we will be putting a press release out tomorrow at the end of the day on Friday. And I'm hoping that we have some actual hard copies of some documents that we can also share in that press release that talk about, you all know that our directed health measures are in effect through May 31st. And these new ones will go in effect on June 1st. So that's coming up really quickly. And we just want to make sure we'll be posting all the new documents on our website as they arrive. But please just know that there's going to be some information coming out in the next couple days. And then I was going to ask Jenna, my staff person, Jenna Clark, if you want to give a little update on the personal protective equipment.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to give a huge thank you to the ones that picked up PPE earlier this week to deliver for the counties. Gary Peterson delivered for York and Seward counties, and he packed his Suburban full and delivered to a bunch of places. So huge thank you to Gary for that. And if anyone is still needing PPE, you can always fill out the online form and the state will review those and send them to us to get it out to you. That's all I have today.
I think that's all for us, Lisa.
Okay. Thank you very much, Laura and Jenna. I appreciate it. So now we will move on to the local government sector. York County, Randy, are you available at this time?
Yeah, I'm here. There we go. Laura, just to add to what you talked about the health directive, this week we found out that the Zoom meetings that gave us the capability of not meeting in quorum, the governor did extend those till June 30th. That was just released, I believe, Tuesday afternoon. So I don't know if that gives us any indication of what he may or may not do, but that particular item is going to be extended just a little bit longer. As far as the county is concerned, we have continued to meet in quorum in open session and encourage our viewers to use the Zoom to stay in touch with what we're doing. I would like to say that as of Monday, our sheriff's department started operating somewhat back to normal. They are doing VIN inspections on vehicles. I believe they're doing some handgun permits, some fingerprinting as needed. They are kind of limiting it to York County residents only, which is within his rights to do. We do not want to be inundated by out-of-county guests at this point in time, but we want to try to get back to some kind of normal if we can. And as of yesterday, the offices on the main floor of the courthouse, being the assessor, the clerk, and the treasurer, are starting to see people in a face-to-face fashion. Those windows are installed and have been installed. Communication is going to be a little tough getting used to just because of the hearing and having those windows. There are little speaker holes there, but we'd ask for your patience. We'd ask for everybody to please use common sense with the 6-foot social distancing there in the hallway. We know people have been waiting to get in to do certain things. You can still do a lot of it online, but they decided this week, the elected and department heads decided to start to open back up. That being said, we did receive a text from our county officials out of Lincoln that sent me one at the end of last week, and they appreciated York County for being the beacon of normalcy through all this. I would want to tell my elected and public officials that very proud of them for the steps they've made in doing this and trying to get back to somewhat normal, being cautious, but I think not only them, but you know, our education system, Four Corners, YCDC, I just think York County should be proud of what we've done through this and continue to lead the way for our neighbors, so they look for us for help. So that's all I got today, though.
Thank you very much, Randy. Let's move on to the communities. Barry, are you available from the city of York?
Yes, I am. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Just a few things. Obviously, we too are anxious to see these new directives that are going to be coming out and where we can go. Tonight, we have a council meeting that will be held on Zoom again. Randy pointed that out to me yesterday that we can continue these through the month of June, but the governor also said that everybody needs to start making plans on how they're going back to having public meetings and how to do this. So tonight at the council meeting, we have a public hearing or two. So, and I know we'll have some interest, so it will be a bit of a challenge to do that on Zoom again, but we also will be having a discussion with the city council on what to do with a lot of park and rec things. All of our local ball teams, baseball and softball, have canceled their seasons. So we'll talk about the complex a little bit and also talk about the swimming pool a little bit more. I know that all of our department heads and I know Shree's anxious to get the community center open in some shape or form and is working on that right now. At the library, Deb would really like to get, at least access to materials back to the public, and she's working on that plan. And I know Terry at the convention center is working, and all the rest of our people are working on trying to, what our next steps are going to be to gradually kind of get things a little bit back to normal. So, with that being said, we're going to have a meeting tonight, and hopefully between that meeting and some of the governor's directives, we can answer some questions. I said to somebody yesterday, I would love to just answer a question yes or no for someone instead of having to go into 3 paragraphs about it every time somebody says something. And I would remind everybody, we still are under the directives that have been there until the end of May. So hopefully when June comes and we move on, we can add things to that. So that's really all I have today. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike. City of Henderson, is Connie or anyone available?
I'll be speaking for Connie. She's sitting right next to me.
Thank you.
An update, but I have a little bit of an update from Henderson. I echo a lot of what Barry said as far as just like waiting it out to make a decision, but I do have a board meeting this afternoon, and we will be deciding what we will do for community days and what that will look like, whether it's postponing it completely or modifying it. So I will have an announcement by at least tomorrow. And then our farmers market is starting on June 2nd, and that will run through August 4th. So we're just doing all the COVID precautions, but I think that's all from Henderson.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll move on to our villages. Is anyone on? I know that from Benedict, we have kind of a standing, they're on, but don't have anything to report unless they let us know elsewise. What about Waco, Gresham, Bradshaw, McCool? Okay. Then we'll go on to the medical sector. York General, Jim, are you available?
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Good morning.
I've been talking a little bit in meetings this week just about our ramping up of testing that we're doing through our drive-through site. And yesterday was the first day where we switched our drive-through site on sides of the building. It was outside our ER up till yesterday, and then we moved it out to the west side of the building and to the north, just outside the patient wing. There's a drive-through parking kind of area there. And I don't know, I haven't not heard the report from Tamara Weens yet on how that went. I hope that means good news. We'll see. But I will update some figures for you. Over the last week, we have tested 73 individuals, and that's through the 19th. So 73 individuals. Laura, I know that's a little bit higher than what I told you the other day because The day we added them, the 19th, we had 14 that we did. And so those were outside our ER, and then yesterday again starting outside our patient wing. Over the last 2 weeks, we've tested 103 individuals, and it's quite a bit. And I know from hearing around the district that's higher than some of the other facilities are doing at this time. Maybe conducting through their drive-throughs, but I know that David City's done a lot of testing through other means too recently. Let me see, I think I covered all of that. The majority of the tests we have the vast majority are those that are physician ordered, and those that are tied in with us testing all of our patients who are going to have surgery as well as part of their preoperative procedure. We're continuing with our elective cases and procedures, and those continue to go well. Our PPE, knock on wood, is going very well on that end and keeping our levels where they need to be. Thanks so much, and everything that Four Corners is doing with us to help facilitate that, and getting some of the materials from the state, and some of the back orders we've had from the beginning of this are starting to come in as well. So that all those things help in keeping our PPE at good levels. I guess finally, the last update I would have would just anxious as the others to hear the change in directed health measures and how that could impact some of what we do at York General as well on further opening up, and as well as just an awareness of what's going on in the community ends up certainly having an impact on, we hope it has no impact on the kind of activity we see as far as positive cases or anything, but just like all the other entities in the city and the county, we are anxious to have those come out and see how that may affect what we do going forward as well. We all eventually are getting back to normal, though. It seems like just little baby steps at a time, right? On that end. So that's what I have today. Thanks for the opportunity to report.
Thank you, Jim. Do we have any of our other medical facilities on the call today? Henderson Healthcare, York Medical Clinic, Urgent Care? Okay, we'll move on into education sector with our district superintendents. Madonna just said Mitch is on, so let's start there.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Mitch Bartholomew from York. Just a few things to update. First of all, a big thank you to everyone that was involved this past weekend with a couple of events, the cruise night, the banners, the Sunday Joyride for our seniors. Just really appreciate all the community effort that was put into those events. Specifically for YPS, the end of the school year is here. Kind of seems like March and April, a little bit of May was almost a full year. But our kids are now out, which is a good thing. We did, I think I've reported before, we did shorten our calendar by a minimal 2.5 days. It just made a lot of sense to end on the 15th, and that way the education piece was over, and then the teachers are finishing up this week and so on. So really proud of that group, and just hope that our kids and our families now can just say, okay, school's over, and they can have somewhat of a summer, whatever that looks like at this point. So we did have a checkout process, or check-in process, I should say, per building. Looked a little different, per building, just kind of depending on what they had, those type of things. But we wanted to make sure, like specifically at the high school, that we had kids, check out Chromebooks and so on. And so now, as they're checking those in, those Chromebooks are put in the front of our building, and then we're just letting them sit for a good week. And then our tech team will go in, with all the proper equipment and disinfectant and so on and so forth. So we're doing that with anything kids check back into us. We're currently putting the finishing touches on some weight room procedures. We were notified last week that we could open our weight room. I worked with Tyler Herman and Laura, and so we put a process together, a pre-process, and then a post-process, and then as they're lifting and so on, and we have some guidelines that we have to follow through the NSAA. And so right now our coaches are currently signing up kids in groups of 10 in different sessions. And basically what happens is if student athlete X signs up for 7 a.m. Every morning, that's the group that they will be in the entire summer. They will not be able to switch. If they miss, they miss. They can't come back later, those type of things. And then again, we have a pre-screening process of, certain questions that we're asking them just to make sure that, that they're healthy and so on. We're learning too that moving on to some possible in-person summer school. We completely understand, especially at the elementary age, that we're going to have kids come back to us that, are behind, some significantly, some not, and so we have a process in place that we've identifying these students that we have most concerns with, talking with their families, and then the Department of Education is going to put out some guidelines of what in-person summer school might look like. And so we're waiting for that. We're going to, like I said, we're giving kids a break from school for a while. And then we're going to put a plan in place, again, to identify those students that are in most need of in-person summer school and then begin working with them at some point in time this summer. We are in the process, the beginning stages, beginning to make some plans for a couple different scenarios of what the fall might look like. But again, I'm personally not in a huge rush to do that quite yet. But I think it makes some sense to utilize some of the resources that are out there, and again start having those discussions that if it's a full normal start, what does that look like for us? Because it even with that, it's going to look different for us a little bit. What if it's a blended? What if it's half days? There's several different approaches that are out there. But again, you're not going to hear a lot of this is the plan from YPS quite yet, just because it's such a moving target at this point in time. The last thing I'd say is we're still controlling some access to our buildings. And so we do ask that, if parents or students, that if they do need to come to a building, that they call the office first and make an appointment to come in. I do see in the chat, will YPS serve summer meals? Yes, we are eligible to serve summer meals through June. Okay, through June is the eligibility, the last eligibility that we have. So I think that's all I have for now.
Thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Mitch. So do we have any of our other district superintendents on? Okay, it doesn't look like we do on the participant list. Feel free to speak up if you are, and we will, I have a report from SCC. They are working on a 3-phase process to return to classes on campuses, including the York Learning Center. And that's all they had to report. York College, are you available and on?
This is Emily Lutz from York College. I just wanted to highlight that we announced this week that we will continue to work with Four Corners and York General to be able to open this fall as scheduled. We are working, there's a reopening task force that has different people from campus and the community on it to see what exactly that looks like. And as we get those plans finalized, they will be shared with the community as well as our students and faculty and staff. So that was an exciting decision that we made this week, and we're moving forward prayerfully and with close consultation with health officials.
Thank you very much, Emily. Okay, there's no one else in the education sector on. We'll move on to our faith community. And actually, you know what? Before we do that, we totally skipped the business sector. I forgot myself and Madonna here. Okay, before I start my report, I want to say YCDC's email has been down for the last few days. And I know when I did the meeting announcement via MailChimp, I asked you if businesses had a report to email them to me. I have not received them. So, let me talk to them first. So if you have something to report from a specific business, please put it in the chat. I know some of our business leaders are on the call today. And so I am just going to focus on 3 pieces of our phase 2 of the COVID-19 response survey that finished up earlier this week. We had 74 York County businesses respond. 8 of those businesses remained closed when they responded. The top 5 concerns that our business leaders have for York County moving forward is the financial impact on operations and or liquidity and capital on their business, decreasing consumer confidence and spending, global or U.S. recession, supply chain disruptions continues. That was one of the concerns on the last survey. And then lack of information for decision making. Those were the business's top 5 concerns this time. And on their weekly revenue, 9 have increased. 41 of the businesses have experienced a decrease, and 14 of the businesses that responded had no change, which is good. Really, from the business side, that's all I have because I didn't get anybody's reports this week. So if you have one, please jump in. Utilize our phone number, our Facebook Messenger. If we do not get our email up today, I will be sharing it out on Facebook, Twitter, MailChimp, all of that, alternate emails to get a hold of us staff. Thank you. And then I'm going to turn it over to Madonna.
Thank you, Lisa. First, I would like to echo a lot of what Randy Obermeyer had indicated. Our office as well has received communication from people at the Nebraska Historical Society who are recognizing the things that we are doing here in New York City and County to support one another, our students, our businesses, and just our families. The Historical Society reached out to me when the banners went up, asking for one of those to be sent to them. And then as we visited, I shared a lot of the great things that our businesses were doing to support one another. And so we worked together and compiled all the flyers and sent those on to the Historical Society. So again, I want to just really echo the great things that we are doing here in New York, that we are modeling for our state, and just to keep that up. Our farmers market will also begin in June. We have been issued guidelines from the state on how to operate that safely and effectively. The farmers market will begin June 18th. York County Relay for Life Committee, we are working in tandem with them this year as they transition to be the point people to run that. And it is certainly picking up steam with registrations. I also want to remind everyone that Firecracker Frenzy is July 3rd. We will have Firecracker Frenzy pending the weather. We will not have grandstand seating this year, nor will we have concessions, but we will encourage everyone to enjoy the spectacular show from their vehicles. Donations are still being accepted. This is a completely self-funded program, and it's York County's celebration of our independence. So we are wanting to continue to look to those normal activities that keep our community vibrant. So our team here at the Chamber is continuing to make their plans throughout this time for our latter summer events and fall events. And then as the opening is happening, it is happening gradually. I have noticed a lot of businesses are really just taking their time, making sure they're comfortable with the DHMs, or with their team members, as well as with their customers and guests. So again, they appreciate all the patience that everyone is exercising when they're coming in to patronize. Also letting businesses know that the chamber does have a toolkit available that we can get out to you that just has some signage and just some tips to help you move through that business opening. So it's a great day to be here in York County.
Thank you, Madonna. Now we will move on to our nonprofit sector. We will start with York County Health Coalition. Erin, are you available?
Yes, I am. Good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning.
I have a handful of resource updates for the community. First, Health and Human Services did let us know that for those who have had SNAP benefits in the month of May, they will be receiving the maximum benefit, again, just like they did in March and April. They should have already received those benefits on their card. There is also a number that families or individuals can text to see a map of local food resources. To do that, you text food to 877-877, or for Spanish speakers, and I apologize, I'm probably going to pronounce this incorrectly. I took French in high school, not Spanish, but comida, C-O-M-I-D-A, to the same number, 877-877. Blue Valley is conducting a survey currently for COVID-19 needs for all 9 of the counties that they cover. That includes York, Polk, Butler, and Seward. That survey does close tomorrow. That survey takes about 5 minutes. I've taken it. I know I've spoken to others who have taken it. It is open to everyone in the community. It asks questions about childcare needs, access to medical needs, if your hours have been cut, things that apply to everyone across the county. So if you have an opportunity, please check out that survey. I did just repost it this morning to our Facebook page. You can also find it on the Blue Valley Facebook page, not the York Blue Valley Facebook page, but the Blue Valley Facebook page that covers all 9 counties. We also know that in the SOZO Family Services has a Parents Helping Parents support group that meets virtually. This is for parents, grandparents, foster parents, guardians, caregivers. They are all welcomed. So if you are interested in that, you can contact Teresa either by a phone call or text to the number 402-631-7267. And then finally, if you're watching the governor's conference yesterday, they did talk about mental health. It is Mental Health Month. And his guest speaker did share about 5 things to look out for during this time. 1, if you see in yourself or others you're experiencing greater withdrawal from social interaction. I know social interaction is different, how we define it now, but if you're feeling withdrawn, if you're feeling more agitated, if you have an overwhelming sense of hopelessness, if your daily routines have changed, for instance, you find yourself or seeing others not taking care of your proper hygiene, if you're having a hard time getting out of bed every morning, those are things to look out for, as well as if you feel like you've experienced some personality changes, you're just not yourself. Those are some signals that your body is trying to tell you we need to seek some help there, and it is okay to ask for help. 1 in 5 Nebraskans, that includes children, does encounter some mental health issues throughout their lifetime. It is a normal course of action. It is common. It is nothing to be ashamed of, but it is something important to pay attention to. And please reach out to a mental health provider. We have some contacts with mental health providers, so if you would like to contact us, we're happy to navigate you to those services. Blue Valley Behavioral Health is another place to reach out to. Please talk to a friend. Four Corners also has some mental health training as well. So those are some great avenues to look at. And that is my report for this week.
Thank you very much, Erin. And we just got a report from Cindy with York Housing Authority that they are still receiving applications for vouchers and housing. So if you need a place for housing to go to, please look at that. Is there anyone else from the nonprofit or faith community on today? Okay, so we will move on to questions. Does anyone have any questions? And I will say that this is being recorded. Forgot to remind you at the beginning of this, but we will be sending this out on YouTube via Twitter and Facebook and stuff later. So feel free to share this meeting or come back to it if you want to verify something that was said today.
I have an announcement, not a question, but an announcement from Bradshaw. They are having cruise night tomorrow, May 22nd from 6 to 9, and wants to invite people to come join them.
Great. Okay. Did everybody hear that about cruise night in Bradshaw tomorrow night? Hey, Barry, we were just asked if, okay, York News Times does have the link. I believe they shared it on their Facebook yesterday, as well as being an article. Any other questions today? Any last thoughts? Thank you, Cindy. Okay, then I want to wish everyone to have a great Memorial Day weekend. I hope you're able to get outside and enjoy the sunlight, get some vitamin D, and just relax a little bit. That's very important to everybody and our lives. And we will see you next week. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.